Hello, everyone. Welcome to the January 2021 edition of my monthly K-pop recap. I'm the only living fanboy, bringing you the best from K and J-pop girl groups, particularly K-pop girl groups in this case. But if you heard me on the radio, that was my old slogan, the best of K and J-pop girl groups. But with me, I have a very special guest today, a very special, someone who's been involved in K-pop for a very long time, who actually is an executive producer on several K-pop albums, as well as some new wave albums. But he's been known a lot of times simply in the K-pop scene as Kang. But if you want to introduce yourself, my guest today, he's joining us by voice today.
Yeah, hello, everybody. You probably know me notoriously from Facebook and a few other places, but I'm Kang Jeun. And as Fanboy said, I've been doing some things with Make Star and some other projects, doing the producing of, most recent ones were like the photo book set from Lovelyz. And my most recent one is actually being part of the production project for Gary Newman's new album coming out in May called Intruder. So that's what I've been up to as of late, but I'm always doing something. And of course, there's always the tagline of Kang is lazy. So what do you expect?
Well, at least you're doing something. You're getting some stuff done, some really cool stuff, in fact, for that matter, from the sounds of it. Gary Newman, a legend in new wave.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to start just talking maybe a little bit about the comebacks for January. This is the January edition of this. So let's talk about, I think the first big one, I have a list here. Let me if I can get that up. I think the first big one was G-Idol. Actually, no, I forgot, actually, it was Woo-Ah. Woo-Ah was the first one because it came out. The album, the Curious album, came out in November, but then we got this couple surprises, but we got this surprise "I Don't Miss You" MV. So I know you're a big Woo-Ah fan. They call them WOWs now. So What do you have to say about that? What do you think about that MV and that like surprise kind of a sort of second single?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised at to an extent at what NB's doing, because with Woo-Ah's first CD, they released both tracks as the music videos. And to me, as a debut group, that was kind of different because I couldn't think of any others that done that.
Right.
And then we had the new one, Curious, and they did Bad Girl. So, I'm thinking, okay, that's where we're at. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden they dropped I Don't Miss You on us, and everyone was losing their minds over the choreography in it.
Yeah.
And just when we thought we were going to get a chance to catch our breath, they turned around and dropped that animated video for Bing Bing Bing.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
So it's like, NV continues to feed us. It's almost like a daily video or something up from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just love all the content you're getting from them. And so Bing 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 is my favorite song from that album. And I think I put it on I think it was 10 or 11. I think it was 10 actually, on my list of my top list for 2020, because that came out in November. But then they came out with this animated video and shocked everybody. They came out with this great MV with the great choreography, as you mentioned, for "I Don't Miss You." So just once again, just getting overloaded, as you've mentioned, with stuff for Woo-Ah. I mean, just it's amazing just how much content they're coming out with. He said every day I see something. They got the TikTok, they got YouTube, and it's amazing just how well for a rookie group they are pushing them. They are pushing them in a good way, in a positive way. It's not in a bad way. They're pushing them to really. I mean, I think they're going to become a big player if they keep this up. Just because they're so infectious. They're so bouncy, and so once again, I think just it's a great talent. I mean, Soda for me is just a fantastic dancer. I mean, just every time I watch her dance, even from the first album. In between that, seeing the TikTok covers, I mean, just what a phenomenal dancer she is. Yeah. And that really caught my attention right away. Was just, this is really, it's not only is it just, they're very infectious, very, very cute, very bouncy, but they're really good, solid talent. And they may be young. People I know have, criticized them for being young, but I mean, just the level of talent on some of, these members are just, it blows my mind.
Yeah, Nana's 20, and the other four, you got two 17-year-olds and two 16-year-olds.
Mhm.
So yeah, they're definitely young, but they haven't even been out a year, and they're already into modeling, magazine
Right.
spreads, and Nana and Wooyeon is doing dramas now. They've been filming that for the past couple of weeks. And the other thing that I was kind of pleased with is that if some of the scenes that I've seen in the videos are of their dorm, then these girls have got the best dorm I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, wow. So, you know, ND seems to be treating them very good. So I'm hoping that what we see is what's really happening.
Right. Right. Hopefully, you know, it is that well, because, you know, you don't know sometimes, you know, at the Fanatics, we had that, you know, people thought that was going well too last year. And then we find out that they were doing some terrible things.
Bad.
So, you know, you think, you know, so hopefully it's, you know, keeping our fingers crossed. Hopefully they really are they seem like they're being treated well. So hopefully that's continues. Let's see, moving on, I believe next was, I was jumping the gun on the G Idol because I really like that. Next is G Idol. I'm trying to go in chronological order here. Next was G Idol, the I Burn mini album. So what was your take on that? Or what were you think about that?
I'll be honest with you. I've only watched the MV for it once. And, you know, I can't say anything negative about G Idol, but I have to admit that I haven't really liked their stuff since their debut. I don't know. You know, it's not, you know, bad talent in the aspect of singing bad or bad choreo or anything like. It's got nothing to do with that. For me, it's the music. And, you know, we've talked before about how a bad song can make the best group look bad.
Right.
And I won't mention any group names because, you know, I don't want anyone to feel attacked. But, you know, with G Idol, it's just like everything is a 10 across the board except for the music itself. And if I don't want to listen to it more than once, or I don't want to buy the CD, then it kind of falls flat on me. And I have G Idol's first one. I mean, I had to have that with La Ta Ta.
No.
But I just haven't been motivated, I guess, really to continue. I still look at everything they do, but I mean, it's just, they're just not really that much on my radar.
Right. And that's the way it's been for a long time for me with like Lovelies, for example. Like I think so the members, I think they're there as far as the members and the talent and everything, but the songs have never really impressed me. For like they're now 7 years on or something. And for the longest time, they never really impressed me. I never thought the songs were that great. I thought the talent was there, like the members were great. Yeah. But to me, the songs were never, I thought that, you know, it's William or whatever the name of the company is. And I felt like they were just trying to maybe copy A-Pink a little bit. Like they were trying to push them in this direction or something. And
yeah, I think they had that A-Pink flavor to them.
Yeah. I thought they were trying a little too hard, you know, and you can't live up to A-Pink, obviously. But, you know, I thought they were kind of pushing them a little too hard to try to go there. And I thought this might not be the best thing for them. And then they come with Rocket Punch, or, you know, I love that, the Rocket Punch thing. You know, that group is just, I love that group. And you have Judy from AKB48 in that. And so I really like what they did with that. But for some reason, the Lovelies, I thought they were just pushing them in the wrong direction, in my opinion. I think they're great members and everything. And then with G Idol, when they first came out, you know, I heard La Ta Ta, and I thought, because 2018, they came out, I think in 2018, and like that whole like summer and everything, that was one of the best years, in my opinion, lately that we've had. Last year was pretty good too, I guess, but we had a pretty good year in 2018 for K-pop. And I was overwhelmed because we had Red Velvet, who was, you know, one of the first groups, you know, pretty much the first group I got into. And they came out with the #Cookie Jar, the Japanese single first, and that blew my mind. It's my favorite of all their songs. Then I remember so excited for Power Up, which was like the follow-up to that, the Korean follow-up. And I was just, there was so much, and they had AOA with Mingle Bangle, and I absolutely loved that whole album. I listened to it all summer long and all year long. And, you know, there was just so much stuff. They danced on the way by Twice. There were so many, you know, big, you know, season groups coming out with all this great stuff that I think I kind of got brushed under the rug for me. I was just like, well, this Geo group, they seem okay. They came off to me, so some of the songs, even a lot of the talk came off to me as being a little bit more on the Western side or something, maybe. Like it was, I felt like Cube. I didn't really care for Cube even much back then. I knew they were kind of a not so good of a company.
Yeah, if you want to talk about stuff like that, pick another time and just ask me what I think about Cube, and we can spend the rest of the week on it.
Oh yeah, so that's why I was a little unsure, and they had CLC all that at that time, and I felt like CLC was more of the like the, I don't want to say more traditional. Even they weren't, but like they seemed like they were more of the traditional K-pop than like G-Idol was. I think more of them trying to push into the Western market. So I didn't like G-Idol at first. I was kind of like I didn't like them, but I just pushed them to the back burner because there was so much other great music coming out at the same time. So what I ended up doing was, I had a friend in real life who liked La Ta Ta and was into that. And I never really took, I think, the appropriate amount of time to really dive into that. And then they came out with, like, I remember Senorita and these other songs. And then eventually I started, like, I think a lot of people, like, they started getting into it a little bit later. And now they're one of my favorite, they're in my top 5 now, favorite groups now. But at the time I just was not, La Ta Ta is a brilliant song. I love that song so much. Oh, yeah. But at the time I just was like, whoa, there's too much. I'm being overwhelmed, with all this great music. Let's just push it to the side. But yeah, I like the new release. I like it a lot. I like all the songs on it. My favorite is probably Lost. Lost is it's really nice, but I think the whole album was good. I like the fact that that they do a lot of self-composing. I think that's a good thing to see.
Oh yeah.
And it's I think sometimes the songs do end up trying to be a little bit more Western, and there's some things that they kind of play on maybe a little too much. But overall, so I love the members and everything, and I like the fact they are self-composing it, and I don't dislike the songs. I like the songs quite a bit, despite I think there are some flaws in the way they do some things with the songs. But I think overall, so I put them in my top 5. They probably are like number 4 or 5 for me because they just. Great members overall, I think just great. But at first I wasn't too keen on them because I just pushed them away. They were Cube. I wasn't sure about that. And there was so much other great music. But anyways, moving on. Let me see. I have a list here of all the comebacks. What about Very Good with Undying Love? You have any opinion on that?
I actually like that a lot.
I was kind of surprised because I didn't really care much for the stuff they were doing lately, like last year. So I was pleasantly surprised by that.
I absolutely loved Free Travel. That was just excellent.
Yeah. Like I said, I liked stuff before, like from like several years ago, but then last year they fell flat for me. I know a lot of people really love their stuff, and I'm not putting them down or anything. For me, the last year's songs, they didn't quite live up. But I did like this new comeback. I thought it was good. I thought the title track was good. I worked on
their 2 Make Star projects too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So those were good.
Yeah. So now on to what, in my opinion, might be, well, actually, I'm certain this is, in my opinion, the best, maybe even full, complete album that was been released this year. But certainly the best title track is Cherry Bullet with the Cherry Rush album.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that just, The Love So Sweet is just, to me, is the best song we've seen so far this year. I mean, it's still early in this year, but obviously, to me, that one is just takes the cake. To me, that is the best thing that I've seen yet.
That one hit me too. I mean, it looks like K-pop. It sounds like K-pop.
Exactly. Yeah.
And a lot of the people I know hate it, but I love the egg yell at the end.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
That music video is great.
I love that. I mean, of course, like everything else can be overdone, but that was refreshing. I mean, it's just like, wow, this was a K-pop song instead of a Korean group doing a Western song. And it's just
right, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And the more Western it sounds, the less I'm interested.
Right. And that was kind of the thing first with me saying about G-Idol too. I kind of felt they were, even from the get-go, from the top, I felt they were kind of more on the Western side. But I still like their music though. I still like the members. But
well, trust me, no matter I'm sorry. Trust me, no matter what group we talk about,
Mhm.
I cannot pick out one girl group or one female idol that I don't like or hate. Okay,
Right.
so no matter whatever I say, remember that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm the same way too. I don't dislike anyone. So
there's no hate for them. It's
No.
only love.
right. But that is one of the things I did like about Love So Sweet, and like even the B-sides for it. Like, I was listening to them and I was thinking back to like I was so excited when they first came out. I liked, I bought the first album. I liked that a lot, and I'm thinking back to like that first album.
Q&A.
Yeah, Q&A, exactly. And I have that album, and I liked the next follow-up album, which was something like Adventure or something. I think
Love Adventure or something.
Love Adventure, that's it. Yeah. And I listened to like the B-sides from those, and they're very consistent. It's still that really infectious, it's kind of sweet, so the egg yolk, and it's very consistent. The MVs, the B-sides, it's very consistent. They're very much, they don't try to like bend toward, whatever, being Western or being a certain way. They seem like they're very much, and that's something that I was hoping they would do. Unfortunately, Coco, who was my ultimate bias at the time, when they debuted, I'm like, she has to be my ultimate bias now. That's Unfortunately, she left after, I think it was the Love Adventure album.
Yeah, her and two others left, all three at the same time. And when
Lean left, I think.
Mireille. And speaking of her, she is coming out in a new group with it's a handful of girls. I don't remember the exact number, but it's made up of members from Cherry Bullet and Girls Alert, and it's called Pixie.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah.
So she's coming out in that.
That's good.
But when they said Kokoro left, I was like, you just cut my heart out and just left it there on the floor.
That was really, I was totally into, every day I was like trying to, following everything so I get new pictures of her or whatever. I was really into, it was such a tragedy for me when she left. It was just so heartbreaking. But, and like I said, in like last year's, I felt like they were still doing, they were doing okay last year, I think. But like last year's comeback, they did, what was it, the Aloha or whatever. I thought it was all right. Yeah, I thought it was all right, but I was still kind of recovering from that loss. That was so traumatic for me.
And then they did that digital, what was it, Hands Up?
That I did like that, because I always forget about it. I think that for some reason I always think that was 2019 for some reason, because it came out so early. It was like February or something. So for some reason I always equate that with being from 2019. Every time people say about, did you like any of those comebacks from Cherry Bullet in 2020? I'm like, no, I hated them all. I don't hate them all. I don't say hate. I don't hate anybody. I wasn't a big fan of whatever the.
No, I understand. You're in the same boat I am.
I wasn't a huge fan of that. It was all right, but I did like Hands Up. Hands Up was different, but it was still them being them. They weren't bending too much, but it was, I did kind of equate to some Western stuff, but I think it wasn't too Western. It wasn't two of them getting too far away from their roots, and I liked that. So I didn't hate. I apologize. I didn't hate the Aloha. It
was a more mature theme. But they still had like a side of cuteness in it.
Right.
I remember they did Aloha after that, but to be honest with you, right now I can't even picture it in my head.
It kind of fell flat for me. Like I said, I didn't hate it. I know I said that. I didn't hate it. It just, it fell flat for me. I did like the Hands Up, and then with this Love So Sweet, the whole
that hit me like
rush. That was just It's like this is a must have. And then the B-sides are very consistent with the other B-sides from the very first album. They seem very consistent, and I like.
I'm trying to find that one signed, because I don't have anything from Cherry Bullet signed, so I'm trying to find that one.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to get signed, definitely. If you get the first one with Coco, that would be wonderful.
I got my eyes open for that one too, because with Kara and Glam, we had two different lineups, and I managed to get signed CDs for both lineups for both groups.
Right.
So Cherry Bullet would be another one of those where I need to get two different signed lineups.
Yeah. So now moving on, we have this, which was kind of, I think, a surprise for a lot of people, was Lemon Candy by Pink Fantasy. So what was your take on that?
I saw that, and I liked it. I thought the group has promise.
Yeah. I mean, I like their debut. I like their debut a lot. They did the Iriwa. I like that. I like the debut, and I think I like the direction they're going. It wasn't their best song, but I think it was. I think it was definitely they have promise. And they're supposed to be putting out a whole mini album or something next. So
yeah, I would describe the whole thing as quirky to me.
Right. So yeah, I think that's a good word to fit that group. But no, it's not. I'm laughing, but it's not a bad thing.
Oh no,
it's just it's. I think that quirkiness, it surprised a lot of people, I think, when they first came out, and they still kind of have that. And, I think it surprised people, but it wasn't negative or anything. It wasn't a bad kind of quirkiness. It was kind of a fun quirkiness. When I said I liked it, to me, I liked that first. And I thought the song was well, I thought it was mixed well. I thought it was a good song. And I thought it was kind of quirky. It wasn't maybe the most, technical as far as their performance goes. It wasn't the most technical of a performance, but I think it worked for what it was worth. And I liked it a lot. So now moving on, I'm going to go into Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, you just keep running along with it.
Yeah. We go on to Road to Utopia. And I'll say myself first. I'll go first on this one. I really liked the two albums that came out from Dreamcatcher last year. I thought they weren't their best albums, but I thought they were, they were two of their best albums. So that they were my favorite album is End of Nightmare, which to me is like a perfect album. But I thought they were very good. They were very good last year. I really liked them. I thought, we had Boca was the last one they did was the album with the tear. It was Dystopia something. They're all, the last two, I think, or three were like Dystopia something.
Yeah. But
like the one with the teardrop, I thought that was really, really good. And they had a lot of nice B-sides on that one. But it was Break Through the Wall. That one was, everybody loved that one. And that was an album that I think really impressed a lot of people. And they had a longer album they came out with first. It had Scream was the title track from that. That was a very good song. So I really did like those ones. This one this year, I have to say, was for me. It just wasn't. It didn't do it for me so much. I mean, I think they were good songs, but it didn't live up to what I've seen in the past, and certainly didn't live up to what I heard last year. But what was your take on that?
Well, one thing I'll say about Dreamcatchers, I love the visuals and the concepts that they do.
Yes, the MVs are great.
The girls are perfect as far as I'm concerned, because you got to remember that, I was following them when some of the members were actually part of Minx.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just the case of where rock is overdone.
Right.
I mean, I hate to say it. It doesn't make a difference what country it's from. Rock sounds like rock to me. And it's like you could put 10,000 groups one after another, and I would not be able to tell any of them apart. And Dreamcatcher, unfortunately for me, there's nothing distinctive about the music itself that just says, oh, hey, that's Dreamcatcher.
Right.
For me, it could have been a J-pop group. It could have been an American group. I wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah. Right. That is the thing. It's very much, and that's the thing I've said before. It does fit, I think, well for Western fans. It fits well for Western fans. Yeah. It's generic in that sense. It's not saying it's a bad generic, but it's generic in the sense that it sounds like the music that's kind of popular, well, even in Japan, but United States, England, Germany. Yeah. It's things that they like there. I mean, it's the kind of things it appeals to Western fans. It's the kind of music that that to me is what it's made for. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's negative. No. I'm not saying it's slighting Korean fans, but it is that kind of a sound. It's that kind of a sound. That's why you have fans that are in Europe, in North America. I actually haven't heard that many fans in Japan. They put out a couple of Japanese singles, but I haven't even personally myself heard anybody in Japan really talking about them. Yeah, that is kind of a sound that would do well there. But I've been hearing a lot of people from North America, from Europe. It really does mesh well with that kind of I said generic, but it's that kind of just kind of generalized, that kind of generalized rock, light metal kind of a sound that I think does well with those countries. He said, and I like them for what it's worth. I like them. I like their, I think they're really good. I think the members are really, I think the MVs are some of the best MVs. So this is the concepts with the visuals. They have really nice stories. Definitely. People get into those stories a lot because they have the Dystopia one, or it was like a Utopia or something. So they have these really unique stories, and they kind of knit them together. I can't say that word. They knit them together really well. They put them together with, every music video. And I thought, that's really cool. So I like them as far as that is concerned, and I like the music, but it does seem kind of generic. A lot of their stuff as far as being generic rock, but it's just not really a bad thing. And they have a couple things that are kind of on the poppy side, some of the B sides, but not the lead singles. But it is one thing that I've heard fans say, that they are eclectic in the sense that the B sides and things sometimes will span out into other genres.
Well, also for an old fart like me, rock music, it all sound the same just because, it's just not my taste.
Mm-hmm.
But like I mentioned earlier, Dreamcatcher is one of those groups where everything about them is a perfect 10.
Yeah.
But the music doesn't sell me.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. So sometimes, it's not that the members are bad or anything like that, or not talented or whatever, but it's just sometimes the music won't do it for you. Like this new album for me didn't do it for me. I thought they were still very good. I thought, I thought, some of them have really grown. I can tell, they've really developed into really, being powerful. But for some reason, this one to me just didn't grab me like the way it did last year. The ones last year did. They didn't just grab me. But it's still good for what it's worth. But it didn't grab me. That's all.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on. I think we're getting down to the end, I guess, of the big comebacks. Next was, I guess it was the Eyes One with the dance. So you have to purposely stutter on that one. The dance. Say that. It's like they always have some kind of kind of sound. There's always something, some album with that sound or some song with that sound. What was your take on Eyes One? Is obviously going away soon.
I have not caught that one yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, for me, I think it was. I think I liked it better than the last one I did in December, the last comeback. But I've always loved, I loved Eyes One. So I think Eyes One is one of those groups. Sometimes I think the music does kind of suffer. I think sometimes because they are trying to, they were from a show and they kind of want to bang things out. But I always liked they were, they came out of AKB48. And
they're on a timetable, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
they're expiring this year, the timetable.
Their last one was Panorama, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think
I love that one.
Yeah, that one was good. I liked it, but I actually like the new one better, I think. But I feel like, they are trying to put out a lot of things kind of fast because they know they're going to expire. But I do like like my favorite song from them is Mosquito Westai. And to me, that was just, because it's J-pop, it comes out of that. And I really like that sound. It sounds like pure J-pop. But I think sometimes some of I like the Swan, Secret of the Swan. And from that album, there was, what was the one, So Pretty or whatever. I like that one. So, they do have, they do put out good stuff. I like them, and the members can't be beat. It's one of those things that the members can't be beat. Sometimes I think, though, they do with the Korean singles, they kind of rush them out. I think because they know they're on a timetable. They're on this, we're 2021 now. They're going to 2.5 years. Yeah, they're going to disband. So, but I like them. I like this new single.
Yeah, and they're in that contract where they have to disband at one point this year. I forget the exact date, but I don't think it's beyond thinking that they could be reformed afterwards.
Right. That's people are kind of hoping for, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah. So moving on now, I want to talk about the Hyuna solo album because I really liked that. I thought it was. It's definitely Western inspired, but I think it's quirky again. It's quirky enough where it works for me.
Yeah,
it's simple and it definitely has it's obviously very Western inspired, but I think it's quirky enough. I think she pulls it off. To me, it works. I can't get enough of this. Watching the videos and the live stages because I think her presence it makes it. She's been a powerful force for a long time in K-pop, and I feel like it works. It works. The songs work. I said they're very quirky. I think even though they are Western inspired, for me, I think it works for her. I think it works for her. I think she does it in a very unique and very her kind of way.
Yeah.
What was your take on that?
I love Good Girl. I absolutely love that one.
Yeah. And I haven't seen the MV yet, but I listened to it and I love the song.
Yeah, I posted the MV, so go do your
Yeah,
homework.
I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll check that out. It just came out, I think, both today or something. So I'll check that out.
Yeah, that came out this morning. I already posted it, and just a note, I got the dance set aside to watch after we're done here, so that's my homework. But yeah, it's interesting, not that she's doing her best stuff now that she's no longer with Cube. When they dissolved for a minute, it's just like, I'm going, wait, what? And they're like, well, we're going to put all our money in you and I, and we're going to make trillions. And they didn't do anything. I was really not all that impressed with anything that they had her do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, she's beautiful. She's talented. Her influence on CLC is blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
Why aren't we getting stellar stuff out of her?
For sure.
And it's like, now that she's no longer with Cube, all this great stuff is coming out. It's just like, well, we know that Cube was the cancer.
Right. And that's exactly how I feel about it, because I felt like, she had so much potential for so long. Yeah. But as they say, they're sleeping on her, as they say, as the saying goes. Yeah. They're sleeping on her. They're not putting the attention that she deserves, because she is definitely should be like up with whatever Jesse and all these other like people who are like the top solo artists.
Yeah, she's top tier.
She should definitely be up there with them. But I felt like they were just not. They were not giving her nowhere near enough attention that she deserved. They were not giving her the kind of things she needed to succeed, and that's why I'm so glad when I see this. I was like, oh, this is what she needed, and now she can truly be the best.
And she's happy with Dawn, and that's all working out for her. And it's just like she's happy. She's doing what she wants, and it's starting to really show now. And it's just like, good, finally.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think just Cube is just. That's why I was a little unsure. I think with G Idol at first, I wasn't sure what to think about that, because I just didn't know. I just didn't know what to think with Cube. With he said they had CLC and CLC was good, but I wasn't sure about the G Idol thing at first. But then I like it now. But at first I was a little bit concerned about are they gonna they're gonna try to ruin this and take it in this Western direction. But in my opinion, I ended up liking G Idol and it worked out okay. But with I just. This is finally what she needs. This is finally she's getting to do all this, and it's great. But maybe we could talk a little bit, because it's January. Let's talk a little bit about the possible disbandments for this year, maybe as well.
Yeah, I mean, on any of these groups that I'm going to mention, there's been nothing said or rumored yet that I've heard of. But I mean, after being in it for a few years, you start to get the shakes when certain time frames come up, and with Elke leaving CLC, and CLC debuted in 2015, which means they're basically like maybe a year and a half left on their 7-year contract, assuming that it is a 7-year.
Yeah.
And, with Elke leaving, and she was considered the best member of the group, by a lot of people, I'm sitting there going, well, this probably isn't going to help CLC's future at all.
Yeah.
And,
of course, Cube in general.
Yeah, Cube to me, is like Star Empire, The Entertainment Pascal, Platus, all those horrifyingly bad agencies.
Oh, Platus.
Yeah, we won't even go there.
Yeah, it's not going there yet.
Yeah, there's a handful of groups that, their contracts are coming up this year or next year. And, based on, rumblings and, bad publicity and stuff like that, we could see some of these go this year. And Red Velvet's one of them. They debuted in 2014, and they're coming up 7 years in August. So they're not too far down the road. And, when you consider Wendy's accident and the temperament scandal with Irene. And and Joy and Yari's behavior has always been a little off, like there's something bugging them. So I'm just sitting there thinking that, I really can't see them going on now. Yeah. SM will probably do the same deal with them that they did with Girls' Generation. It's just like none of them will resign, or maybe just one or two.
Just kind of dissipate,
But,
into
it's just like, well, they didn't disband. Well, it's just like, well, if 5 years later they're not putting out new CDs together, technically you can still say they disbanded, but you don't want them to.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
G-Friend debuted in 2015. And the only thing negative right now is that scandal with Seung and the pictures of the Nazi mannequins, and we won't touch on that. But there's that. A-Pink debuted in 2011. They're one of the first groups I ever heard of walked into the CEO's office and demanded new contracts. And it's like, wait, what? But from what I understand, the contract was a 3-year one, which means it'll expire at some point this year.
Right.
And if they stick to the timetables, it'll probably be around mid-April.
Right.
So we might get one more comeback out of them, assuming that, this is really going to happen.
Right.
One of the groups I'm worried about is Daya. They debuted in 2015, and we really haven't heard much from them.
Yeah, I like the early stuff they did.
Yeah. And I can't remember the one girl's name. I think it's Cheon or something like that, who was on the reality shows or the survival shows. And the problem there with Daya is that they're one of the groups that technically is known as Cheon and Friends or something like that. And that's the same thing that happened to Guggenheim was, it's Sejong and Friends.
Yeah.
And Daya is the same situation. And even Elris, they debuted in 2017, but Elris is known as Sohee and Friends. And it's just like, whenever that happens, the groups die.
Right.
And that, that's a concern for me. And,
it becomes too focused on,
Yeah, and I don't think Jackpot by Elvis did all that well. But then again, I didn't look at the sales numbers.
Yeah.
Laboom debuted in 2014. I pretty much expect them to go to the wayside this year because there really hasn't been much going on. I did a couple Make Star projects with them as well, but I just don't see them making it through this year unless they have another comeback and it just goes off the charts.
Right.
Lovelies is another one, debuted in 2014. And of course, one that's going to be on the radar coming soon is Oh My Girl, because that's 2015. So they would be next year. So.
Yeah, it's really sad because when you've been in it this long, myself even just thinking like Red Velvet got me into it in the first place, and they seemed like a young group, At the time, they seemed like they were, they were, young group, and they were a lot of potential, and they were going places, and other groups you mentioned too, even though I wasn't really into the Lovelies until like this year. Now I'm actually finally starting to get into the Lovelies, ironically enough. Now this year I'm starting to get into them finally, and they might disband.
Like I said, on all these bands I just talked about, I have not seen anything or heard anything. It's all speculation, and it's all based on the fact that as a K-pop fan, you get gun shy when the 7-year thing comes up because
I know
a lot of these groups don't even make it 3 years, and if they make it 7 years, it's like, well, time to renew the contracts, and all the girls are running for the door screaming.
It is very sad. I think about the groups you mentioned. I'm thinking about them a lot, and as I said, especially Red Velvet for me was because they were the group that really got me into it.
A-Pink got me into it, but Red Velvet was the very first group I ever saw debut. And I just absolutely fell in love with them right off the bat. I mean, I didn't even make it to the end of the first video, first time through, and I'm like, I'm in love.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this edition. This was just, the first one I did with Tim was, much longer, but now I think it's good. So see you guys.
All right, later.